Can you believe it? At the bottom of the Mariana Trench, where the pressure is enough to crush an aircraft carrier, life is still flourishing through aluminum armor and chemical synthesis. It is a ruthless kingdom of shadows, so intense that even NASA trembles while decoding these terrifying secrets. If you stood on the peak of Mount Everest, the world would seem to shrink beneath your feet. But now, imagine something nearly impossible, a wild scenario that nature has been secretly preparing for millions of years. Imagine lifting the entire massive Himalayan range, flipping it upside down, and dropping it straight into the vast ocean near Guam. You would be stunned to realize that even when the proud summit of Everest hit the deepest floor, there would still be over 2,000 meters of dense water above it before reaching the sun-drenched surface. Welcome to Planet Expedition. Today's journey is not directed toward the sky, but deep into the planet's ultimate abyss. This is the Mariana Trench, a deep, mysterious scar on the Earth's crust. This is where every law of physics you have ever known is ruthlessly broken, a place where the weight of the ocean can turn a thick block of steel into a crumpled piece of paper in a millisecond. If you had satellite vision that could pierce through kilometers of water, you would see that Mariana is not a lifeless crack. Instead, it appears as a giant crescent moon grinning defiantly in the heart of the Pacific. Spanning 2,550 kilometers, if we placed this trench on land, it would be longer than many entire countries. If you viewed it as a highway, it would take more than a full day of driving at 100 kilometers per hour to cover the length of this kingdom of darkness. The map of this Dead Sea is actually the boundary of a dance with destiny between two massive tectonic plates, the ancient Pacific Plate and the younger Philippine Plate. There, the Earth's crust is bent, crushed, and pulled down into the depths. Within Mariana lies a core even deeper and more terrifying known as the Challenger Deep. This name comes from the HMS Challenger in 1875, when the first sailors dropped a sounding line and watched in shock as the rope unspooled endlessly into what they believed was a bottomless pit. Scientists call this the Hadal Zone, named after Hades, the god of the underworld. Here, sunlight is a luxury, replaced by thick darkness and bone-chilling cold, a world completely separate from the normal biological cycle. If you dropped a stone into the Mariana Trench, it would take about an hour of falling just to reach the bottom. During those 60 lonely minutes, it would pass through water layers with pressure increasing every second, bypassing fierce underwater currents before resting forever in the thick Hadal silt. Mariana is not just a hole, it is a grand recycling plant where old crust is swallowed into the mantle to prepare for a new beginning of the planet. Prepare yourself, because the deeper we go, the more you will realize that Mariana holds not just darkness, but secrets about the origin of life that we ourselves are not yet ready to face. Before we continue diving deeper into the layers where the weight of the sea can crush all human ambition, I have a small question for you to ponder. In your opinion, what is more terrifying to humanity? Option A, giant, unnamed monsters hiding in the eternal darkness of the Mariana Trench. Option B, the absolute silence and ultimate loneliness of a world that never sees the sun. Leave a comment with your choice below. Planet Expedition wants to know your perspective on the greatest fear at the deepest point on Earth. When your stone finally touches the eternal silt after an hour of freefall, it hasn't just hit the bottom, it has completed a journey through the heavy sentences that nature has imposed here. Leaving behind the last faint glow of the surface, we enter a realm where the concepts of space and matter are distorted to the extreme, where the crushing power of pressure and thermal paradoxes begin to write the most horrifying chapters of existence. The massive volume of water weighing down on the Mariana Trench is a number beyond human imagination, a column of dense water creating weight totaling billions of tons, acting like a giant noose strangling all geological activity below. At the bottom of the Challenger Deep, pressure reaches over 1,000 atmospheres, equivalent to enduring the weight of nearly 8 tons on every square inch of your body. To visualize this brutality, imagine lying on the ground with a massive aircraft carrier, full of fighter jets and weapons, placed directly on top of your head. At that level, every gas-filled space, from delicate lungs to the middle ear, would be crushed and flattened instantly in less than a millisecond, leaving no chance for pain, only complete disappearance into the void. Even the most robust steel spheres, designed by the greatest engineering minds, must bow before the power of Mariana. During field expeditions, scientists often perform a small but haunting experiment. They take hard plastic cups down to the depths, and when they pull them back to the surface, those cups have been compressed and deformed until they are the size of a small ring. Therefore, to build submersibles that can protect human life, engineers must use specialized steel and titanium with maximum thickness, calculated down to the micrometer. At this depth, a crack as small as a human hair on the hull is not just a technical flaw, it is an irreversible tragedy. Water would spray in with the speed and power of a cannonball, cutting through any obstacle in its path before the entire structure explodes into 100 pieces in a silent blast beneath the depths. There is a strange fact that physicists still marvel at. Water is usually considered an incompressible liquid, yet under the terrifying pressure at 11,000 meters, water molecules are squeezed so tightly that their volume shrinks by about 5%. 5% may sound small, but imagine if the pressure at the bottom of Mariana suddenly disappeared. Global sea levels would rise by dozens of meters in an instant as that massive amount of water suddenly expanded back to its original state. Crossing the boundary of 1,000-ton pressure, we continue to face a magical temperature paradox in the eternal darkness. At the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the rules of thermodynamics we learned in school seem to be thrown out the window in favor of a different reality. Most of the water in the trench fluctuates between 1 and 4 degrees Celsius, a chilling cold that seeps into the bone, staying just above freezing due to high salt concentration and extreme pressure. Yet, in the middle of that dark and cold space, there are areas where the temperature can suddenly spike to 400 degrees Celsius, creating a maddening contrast. These are the hydrothermal vents, also known as the mysterious black smokers. Here, seawater seeps through deep cracks in the Earth's crust, is heated by the burning lava beneath the mantle, and is then blasted back into the ocean. Why doesn't water at 400 degrees Celsius, hotter than molten lead, ever boil? The answer lies in the terrifying pressure. At this depth, the pressure is so great that it keeps water molecules from turning into steam, forcing them to exist in a supercritical state, a hybrid form of matter between liquid and gas. This state allows water to dissolve minerals with incredible power, creating pillars of black smoke erupting in freezing water without a single bubble appearing. It is a surreal sight, like a painting of the underworld in the heart of the sea, where liquid sulfur might erupt instead of stone lava. It is at these junctions between deadly cold and infernal heat that chemistry begins to change its nature. Molecules are squeezed until their viscosity and bonding characteristics transform into a strange substance, opening a completely new chapter for adaptive life and challenging everything we know about the limits of existence on this planet. From those boiling waters and chemical-heavy streams at the thermal vents, a miracle has occurred. Life, instead of fading away, chose to evolve into the most magnificent entities nature has ever molded. If you have always believed that where there is no sunlight, there is no hope, Mariana is the ultimate rebuttal. It proves that life does not need warm rays to begin, it only needs a persistent will to adapt. On the surface, we live through photosynthesis, but in the kingdom of Hades, life is driven by a completely different mechanism called chemosynthesis. These microbial communities do not need green leaves, they eat active compounds like hydrogen sulfide and methane erupted from the earth to create energy, building an independent food chain as if a separate planet existed within the earth. Imagine a dark scenario where the sun suddenly disappears and all creatures on the surface perish instantly. The residents of Mariana might not even realize anything has changed, for their kingdom has been lit by silent chemical fires for millions of years. In that eternal darkness, we encounter the king of impossible depths, the Mariana snailfish. To the naked eye, this fish looks incredibly fragile with pale, translucent skin that lets you see every internal organ and blood vessel, but do not let that delicate appearance deceive you. They live comfortably at depths over 8,000 meters, where the pressure could crush diamonds, thanks to a secret weapon called piezolyte, a special molecule that acts like a cellular-level support frame, preventing protein membranes from collapsing under thousands of tons of weight. Unlike shallow-water fish with brittle bone structures, the snailfish chooses to compromise with the pressure through a skeleton made entirely of flexible cartilage, letting its soft body yield to the weight of the water rather than foolishly trying to fight it. Evolution at Mariana goes even further than what we could imagine in science fiction movies with the appearance of armored creatures and giant single-celled organisms. Look at the amphipods, armored scavengers that look like shrimp but can reach 30 centimeters in length. At this depth, calcium carbonate, the main component of normal shells, would dissolve instantly due to high acid concentration and pressure, but the amphipods at Mariana have achieved a stunning biological breakthrough. They extract aluminum from the seafloor mud to reinforce their shells. They are literally wearing a biological metal suit, an achievement of natural engineering to survive under the weight of millions of tons of water. Alongside them are the xenophyophores, giant single-celled monsters the size of a dinner plate. These strange entities are not just hosts for thousands of other microorganisms but also possess elite toxin resistance, absorbing lead, mercury, and even uranium from the seawater without any harm. To survive in absolute darkness, creatures here also use light as a weapon or a language through bioluminescence. Many species possess a brilliant red color, the first color of the light spectrum to be absorbed and disappear when going deep, making them completely invisible to predators. A faint blink in the darkness of Mariana could be a sweet invitation to mate, but it could also be a death message from a hidden predator. The nutrients that feed this strange kingdom do not come from light, but from depths above through a phenomenon called whale fall. When a giant whale ends its journey and sinks deep into the Mariana Trench, its carcass becomes a massive feast, a nutrient oasis providing life for an entire ecosystem for nearly a century. From large fish to tiny bacteria, everyone participates in the dance of rebirth, where the death of a giant on the surface is the brilliant beginning for billions of souls in the ocean depths. All these wild adaptation mechanisms, from aluminum armor to cartilage frames and chemical eating, have turned Mariana into the purest evolutionary laboratory on the planet, where life redefines itself to overcome limits that humans once thought were impossible. But amid these silent survival feasts of armored monsters and translucent fish, Mariana is not just a silent graveyard or an isolated biological lab, it is a theater of chaotic sounds, holding haunting echoes of human history. Have you ever wondered what the deepest place in the world sounds like? Would it be as quiet as a cold grave, or actually as noisy as a massive construction site? In 2015, a bold experiment was conducted when scientists dropped a titanium-encased recorder to the bottom of the trench for 3 weeks. The results stunned the scientific community. Mariana is not quiet at all, instead, it is a meeting point for the most powerful vibrations from across the planet. Due to the physical properties of water under extreme pressure, sound travels further and faster than in air, turning this deep trench into a global relay station, recording the low groans of earthquakes halfway across the world, the scream of fierce storms sweeping the surface above, and the loud engines of massive cargo ships moving dozens of kilometers away. Amid the chaotic geological noise and the white noise of underwater currents, the recorder also caught sounds that were poetic and lonely, the low-frequency songs of blue whales and fin whales. These giant creatures could never dive into Mariana because their lungs would explode instantly, but their songs pierced through 11,000 meters of water to touch the trench floor, echoing in the eternal darkness like messages from a world full of light sent down to the underworld. This intersection of sound creates a strange symphony, reminding us that the earth is always vibrant and its heartbeat exists even in places where humans once believed life could not survive. The journey to find those echoes is also the history of the bravest heroes of humanity, those who viewed going to the bottom of Mariana as a spiritual mission rather than a typical expedition. To date, the number of people who have reached the Challenger Deep is far fewer than those who have been to space, because fighting the 1,000-ton weight of the ocean is sometimes harder than escaping Earth's gravity. We must mention Don Walsh and Jacques Picard, who made history in 1960 inside the bathyscaphe Trieste. At 11,000 meters, when a window pane cracked due to extreme pressure, they remained steadfast. To prove that humans could reach the deepest point of the planet. Half a century later, director James Cameron dove alone to this place in the deep-sea Challenger, describing the seabed as another planet, a place where time leaves no trace and that carries a sense of loneliness to the very bone. However, alongside the triumphs of conquest, modern expeditions by Victor Vescovo or remote-controlled robots like Nereus have exposed a heartbreaking truth. Even at the deepest point on the planet, where human feet have never stepped directly, the scar of humanity is present in the form of plastic waste. This discovery is like a slap to our pride, as pollution has arrived before discovery. Exploration robots with mechanical arms and high-resolution screens have sent back sharp images of a world that is both magnificent and wounded, where the sounds of nature are gradually being mixed with man-made noise and industrial waste. Mariana does not just tell the story of human courage in decoding geological mysteries, it is a heavy reminder of our responsibility toward the last remaining areas of purity on Earth, where echoes from the deep are becoming lost in the whirlwind of modern civilization. Moving past the pain of plastic waste and the dark echoes of the ocean, Mariana is not just the end point of underwater journeys, but actually a gateway to new horizons in humanity's quest to conquer the universe. NASA is particularly interested in this ocean trench not for typical geological mysteries, but because the extreme conditions here, with ultra-high pressure, eternal darkness, and fiery thermal vents, are considered the perfect replicas of oceans hidden beneath the thick ice of Jupiter's moon Europa or Saturn's Enceladus. What we are learning at the Challenger Deep is an invaluable draft, a laboratory for scientists to design future space probes where life might exist in similar conditions without a single ray of sunlight. In mud samples taken from the floor, scientists have discovered thousands of DNA codes that do not match any known species on land, turning Mariana into a massive genetic library holding secret evolutionary branches that humans have only begun to decode. Even more deeply, the creatures here possess an amazing ability to repair damaged DNA instantly to counter errors caused by extreme pressure, a natural biotechnology currently being studied for medical applications, from anti-aging to treating incurable diseases for humans. There is a controversial but compelling theory that life on Earth did not begin in shallow lakes on land, but originated from deep hydrothermal vents like those in Mariana, where the mineral-rich environment acted as a primordial soup for organic molecules to combine into the first genetic chains. Here, the pressure is so great that carbon can be compressed into structures as durable as diamonds, and some bacteria have used this to create internal cell protections that are impossibly strong, proving that life can control matter at the atomic level to adapt. The ecosystem in the Mariana Trench is like a completely isolated island, a pure evolutionary laboratory where species develop unique traits. At some points, the Earth's crust is strangely thin, offering a unique opportunity to drill deep into the mantle to understand how the planet cools or how the Earth's magnetic field is created to protect us from dangerous cosmic radiation. The greatest truth about the Mariana Trench is that after more than a century and a half of exploration, we have only seen about 1/1000th of its area, a powerful reminder that even as humans reach for distant stars, there is still a vast, dark universe right here on our blue planet waiting to be awakened. The journey from the sun-drenched surface to the bottom of the Challenger Deep has ended, but the tremors of its magnificence will surely echo in all of our minds. The Mariana Trench is not just a number regarding depth or a distant location on a nautical chart, it is a symbol of the absolute power and resilience of nature. In a place where steel shatters, where darkness reigns, and bone-chilling cold meets fiery heat from the earth, life does not surrender. Instead, it chooses to redefine itself, using aluminum armor or flexible cartilage to turn 1,000-ton pressure into a part of its breath. Mariana teaches us that even in the harshest environments, where there seems to be only death and loneliness, there are still genetic miracles and persistent heartbeats. It is a powerful parallel universe, an ancient DNA library holding the key for humans to reach the stars or decode our own existence. The greatest lesson from the Mariana Abyss is this: pressure is not there to crush you, but to forge a new, stronger structure. In current life, we often face 1,000-ton pressures from work, finances, or relationships. Sometimes, we try to brace ourselves rigidly only to shatter easily. Before life's events, learn from the snailfish at Mariana. Instead of fighting pressure in an extreme way, learn to adapt and keep your soul flexible. When you change your internal operating mechanism, changing your mindset, accepting challenges as an essential part of growth, you will realize that it is the hottest adversities that provide the energy for you to shine most brilliantly in your own way. Before closing this dramatic expedition, we really want to hear from you. If you had the chance to sit in the most modern submersible to directly explore the mysterious beauty of the Mariana Trench, would you agree to venture out or choose to stay on the peaceful ground? Leave a short comment to share your view. And if you love deep geographic knowledge, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to support Planet Expedition. Your companionship is the greatest motivation for us to continue producing high-quality and fascinating content. Goodbye and see you in our upcoming journeys of discovery.